I just think you're going to like them. And we're going to do these little short format documentaries on a lot of historical sites. And I think a lot of you are going to find it very, very intriguing and interesting. And we look forward to getting this stuff post-edited and let all of you watch it. We will be broadcasting live. Someone said, are you going to be off the air for a whole week? No, that is not the plan. But I will have to be running some best ofs because we are on very limited time. We're not going to get everything done while we're there. There's just no way. There's so much to do, so many sites to go to, so many people to interview. So I will have to run a best of here and there. And but I will be trying to check in, won't we, Dolly? Dolly's still trying to get used to Aaron in the studio. She met him in Milwaukee, but she wasn't sure about you then, and she's still not sure about him. So she's huddled up next against my leg under the news desk, staying away from Aaron over there. So you'll have to excuse her. She's just being protective. That's all, Aaron. Yeah. All right. So Aaron's going to join us. Logan's finishing miking him up. But we got some news. Pete Hegseth has come out, the Secretary of Defense, given a pretty strong warning to Iran and the fires in Israel. We talked about it on TV last night with Aaron, who was in studio. But it seems as though this is nothing less than terrorism. We here at Worldview 2 got an email from former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. She texted our producer of Worldview Report, Leo Holman, and she says, this is really bad. She says, there's not only fire all around us, but now there's a sandstorm. And then she said that the smoke is horrific, even in their hotel rooms. So she's reporting to us on the ground as well. We have that written report from her in our Worldview report tonight. Okay, so let's go right away now that you got you all mic'd up, got your earpiece in so you can hear calls. How you doing, Aaron?
Doing really good, Brandon. Great to be with you.
Great to have you with us. All right, let's go right to these fires. This looks like this is terrorism. And I showed on the screen last night, I think a 2012 report where our own Department of Homeland Security was warning here in the U.S. that Al-Qaeda, their magazine Inspire, was bragging that they would use fire for terrorism. I think that's what's been going on with some of the fires in America. And I think our government has avoided saying anything about it for fear of copycats. And because all you got to do is have the Marxist, Islamist, a few of the other anarchists get, encouraged by this, and you got a real problem. So I think our government knows that some of these fires have come from terrorists, but I think that's what's going on in Israel. What are your authorities saying? Are they admitting that?
No, they definitely are, based on the people doing the investigations. What they're doing, they're researching how in the past, vandalism or arson is done, and they're looking at what's happened over the last 48 hours, and it's clear evidence that this is arsonist. And of course, they've found at least a couple of dozen people that they had cotton balls soaked in kerosene. They had lighters, they had matches. I mean, you don't need much more proof than that. And they're under investigation now, and hopefully we're going to get more information. But apparently, these terrorist groups, they're going out recruiting people to do this. And when you look at the damage and the destruction, and it could also, Brandon, be a decoy to get us away, get us focusing on these fires. And we talked about this yesterday, maybe in places like Judea and Samaria, there's going to be surprise attacks. So we're on alert. This was, by the way, a national state of emergency. This of mass proportion. We had every fire engine out. Actually, as I was driving here, Brandon, I pulled up at a light, and there was the Tennessee fire engines pulled up next to me. So I waved to the guy on the window. He pulled down his engine. I said, "Hey, I'm from Israel. Have you heard what's going on?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we need you. Please come over."
Well, you guys do need help. It sounds like you don't have enough equipment.
That's right. And there's a lot of criticism, because about 15 years ago, we had our worst fire in history. Because of that fire, a lot of criticism came out saying, what would happen if we were attacked during a war or something like that? So we have got a lot of money from the government budget. We've stocked up on fire engines, on manpower, but obviously not enough, and people that were calling for more, who were saying we should get airplanes, and they were pushed away. Now they're coming out and saying we
told you so.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say something here? I know it might seem offensive. Why do I get the feeling sometimes your worst enemy in your nation is your own government? See, in America, our worst enemy is our federal government. It seems like for you guys, Hamas and these other groups are bad enemies, but your worst enemy seems to be your own deep state, your own government.
Look, I agree, certainly with the deep state. Look, we have the luxury of hindsight, okay? There's always decisions.
But is it really hindsight if you have people telling you, we had really, really bad fires. If this happens during a war, we better get ready.
I know, I agree with you, but we did get more fire engines. Right. We did get more people. Obviously, it wasn't enough.
Right.
So is that a miscalculation? Is it an error? Was it wrong for them not to listen? Maybe a bit of everything.
But particularly when Al-Qaeda has an Inspire magazine out in 2013, 2012 saying, we're going to use fire for terrorism.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
I mean, it's not like you're a poor nation, so I don't know what you spend your money on. I know military. What is your social services programs like? How much money are you spending on welfare and entitlements over in your country?
Yeah, a lot. We really try to look after the elderly. Yeah. Which is great.
Which, by the way, can we just ask, then why do we see commercials on American television of your elderly people living in shacks I'm talking shacks, horrific shacks, people living in these conditions, and these tearful videos that if we don't call the phone number now and help these poor Jewish people get some food, they're going to starve to death. And I'm thinking, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is, especially if they're from the religious sector, the religious sector are poor. They are poor.
But your government's not letting your own Jewish people starve to death.
No, we don't have that. If you go,
exactly.
If you go out on the streets in Israel, you'll rarely see a beggar, a street person. It's very, very little, because the Jewish community, the Christian community, and the Muslim community really look after the poor, the needy, the fatherless. They really do. So you don't get a lot of that.
So be careful of all these videos that make it look like the Jews are starving to death unless you send your $15 a month.
I agree. But believe me, the religious sector, which is about 30% of our Jewish population of 8 million, they are poor because a lot of them don't work. They study in their yeshivas, and a lot of them refuse to work.
Well, if you won't work, you don't eat.
I know, and this is one of our big schisms in our nation, where the seculars, who are sending out their sons and daughters to the army, and they're saying, look at the religious, they're studying, they're not working, and they're not sending out their children into the army. So this is a big schism in our nation, which a lot of people say one day could lead to a civil war. Remember the divided kingdom? Yeah. That when the two kingdoms divided, there's a lot of talk under the surface about a future civil war.
Yeah. Well, there even seems to be Dr. Jimmy DeYoung used to actually quote something from the Bible that seemed to make him believe that was something that was yet to be fulfilled, a civil war in Israel. I don't know what passage, I can't remember, I have to go back and look. When our AI is done, I'll be able to put that into AI, and AI is going to tell me what Jimmy DeYoung used to say about it.
I know there are prophecies in Ezekiel about the two houses of Israel, Judah and, Ephraim and Manasseh, and that there are battles between them. It could be those passages.
Well, like I said, when we get our AI done, which we had another meeting last night with our IT guy on this, it is crazy. It sounds like by the first week of June, I'll be able to start putting in questions to the AI that we built. And it's all, just so the audience and listening friends know, it's all isolated. It's all isolated. It's all quarantined. It's our own systems. So nothing can get in to skew it. And, but how do you search 40,000 MP4s and 60,000 plus MP3s? How do you do that?
Well, let's see how good AI.
I can't. It's hard for me, but AI can do it, right?
Yeah, AI. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And so my guy said to Logan and I on the conference call last night, by the 1st of June, you ought to be able to start testing it before we roll it out to our audience. And then what did Jimmy DeYoung say about a civil war in Israel? Yeah. It'll pop right up.
Absolutely. By the way,
I don't even know where to look. I mean, where would I go to look for that? I know I could type in Jimmy DeYoung, but I'm going to get multiple hundreds of interviews we did. So what am I going to sit and listen to every one? No. AI is going to find it for me in a second, and then I'm going to pull it right up.
Brilliant. And by the way, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, around the time of the Waukesha conference, I sent you an article the IDF has now launched a brand new military campaign using AI.
Really?
Where we will be able to get intelligence from our enemies through conversations, through calls, through texts. We will be able to find information, find people.
Oh, you know what you're going to be able to do? I bet you what you're going to be able to do is they're going to take these conversations they're tapping, and they're going to be able to hook people together and find out who's working with who through the network, right?
Absolutely.
The web. And then they're going to be able to say, based on these, we believe the trend or the next target is going to be like this.
Absolutely.
So it's not the AI thinking, it's just reason and logic being applied almost in a mathematical form to verbal language.
And you know what? This apparently, in the article I read, it's going to save us years and years of research.
Now the question is, will it ever get to the top? Because I hear we're going to be attacked. We have a possibility of being attacked here in this place, and nobody up top answers the phone, like happened on October 7th.
Well, you know what, Brandon? Yeah, October the 7th, bad. But a year and a half later, all of the top leaders in Hamas, they're gone. All of the top leaders in Hezbollah, Nasrallah, they're gone.
But the top leaders of Israel who didn't answer the phone from the girls trying to warn them.
Some of them
girls
are gone
on
as
the
well.
border. They're on the border. We're trying to make phone calls. Remember them?
Yeah.
Alan Dershowitz told me he was in some of those buildings on the border with some of those girls.
Yeah.
And some of them had autism, and that they were very skilled because of their autism, he said, to be able to watch and notice and pay close attention, and they were very skilled. And he was really quite upset because I think I don't know if I have to go back and listen to the interview, if someone were killed or harmed or what, but I mean, did we lose some of those gals?
Absolutely. Not only did we lose, some were kidnapped, but here's the other big problem. Girls that are recruited to go into that unit now, their parents, not only won't go, their parents, they're refusing.
Oh, of course they are.
Of course they are.
I got a map here real quick. This is some of the most recent areas that are on fire. Notice there doesn't seem to be any in that one big area, Nablus. What is that area?
Nablus is in the area near Ramallah.
Is that Palestinian area?
That is in the West Bank. That's in Samaria.
Are those Palestinian areas?
They're Palestinian areas. And by the way, Brad.
So where's not burning is Palestinian areas?
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's another proof that it's arson because all of the Palestinian areas are not burning.
We'll be right back with Aaron. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com. Welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. I think Walls was fired, right, Logan? I think Walls was fired. Good riddance. We were not for him to start with. We were warning about him when he got picked. So that's good. And I think he's going to be replaced by Steve Witkoff, if what I heard, which everything I've heard about him is very positive. What about you? What do you think of him?
Well, not everything I've heard is positive.
Really?
There are a lot of talk that he could be a weak link in Trump's cabinet.
Okay.
But, actually, the more he is going about his business, he seems to be delivering. And
he's not a warmonger.
No,
right?
He's not a warmonger. He's a bit of a moderate, and that's why maybe people are questioning him. But
But see, I don't know the vocabulary from Israel to America sometimes, because when someone here is a warmonger, we don't call them a moderate. We call them a conservative. when they're a warmonger who wants to go to war, we call them neocons or or the military-industrial complex. So
Right.
from your perspective, he's not a guy that's got wanting to go to war quickly. He wants to work this out diplomatically.
Correct. And you know what? Donald Trump's the same.
Right.
He's proving that he's first doing everything he can to bring about a political situation. But today, Brandon, a big turn. Pete Hegseth, sorry. The National
He's our Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of Defense has given the Iranians a stern warning about the Houthis. And he's basically saying, we know where they get their ammunition from. We know who's supplying them. We're not stupid. Your last warning. And if you don't stop, there's going to be big consequences. This is more than a diplomatic warning, Brandon. From what I've heard, this is a military warning. So Iran, the ball is in their court. If the Houthis don't stop, but here's the potential. The Houthis may stop, and we know that the Iranians are masters for stalling for time. And this is the problem.
There it is, Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes, that's a very popular military publication here in the U.S. for decades and decades. The headline is, Hegseth says, Iran will pay for its support of Houthi militant attacks in Red Sea.
That's military talk, Brandon. That's more than just political.
In fact, here's his exact tweet yesterday. Message to Iran. We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you're doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequences at the time and place of our choosing.
You know, Brandon, I was listening to a political analysis of a potential strike, and one of the suggestions that is high up on the possibilities is what's called a cyber attack, an electromagnetic strike.
Okay, you're talking about electromagnetic pulse, EMP.
Yeah, you got it.
And who's going to do that? The U.S.?
Actually,
I'm sorry, Israel?
Well, I was going to say, this is where Israel would not need the U.S. But here's the key to it. In order to do it, and in order to bring down the Iranian regime, you would need the people of Iran to be ready.
Yes.
They are the ones that are going to have to pick up the pieces while everything's blacked out, while there's no power, no grids, that the people would somehow overtake the regime. And there are a lot of reports that a number of soldiers in the regime, they want out. They're done. They see the economy, they see the water, they hear the groaning of the people. They want out, but they don't have a choice to get out.
Right.
But something like this could be what would be a non-combatant strategy, and saving, potentially millions of people's lives.
But then Iran can do the same to you guys, by the way. They have EMP weaponry. We've been reporting on it with Dr. Peter Pry for years. In fact, I just found a headline of the Daily Mail from the middle of this month, or last month. The terrific arsenal at Iran's disposal. Islamic Republic could disable Israel with EMPs and may have stockpile of dirty bombs, expert warns, after Tehran bragged it will unleash weapons never used before if attacked. So if you guys both start using, I guess the question is who's going to use the EMP first? Is Iran EMP hardened? That's the question.
Yeah, and the other question is
their military EMP hardened, I should say.
You're right. And the other question is does Israel, or does even Iran...
Are you guys EMP hardened?
I believe so.
Your military?
Yes, I believe so. And the other question is do we have a defense? Is there a defense against being attacked this way? Is there a defense?
Well, the only way from EMP, because they let up a nuclear weapon above, the Earth, many, many miles, detonate it, and then that electromagnetic pulse gets picked up by the curvature of the Earth, and it can fry your whole power grid, your country, right? So that's the threat to America. That's been the threat that Peter Pry, who used to sit at this desk, was the chief of staff of the EMP Congressional Commission, was warning about. And we've done nothing to harden our grid, nothing, because the power companies, and there's a lot of them, a lot of power companies, independent power companies, and they have very strong lobby, I guess pour a lot of money into the pockets of senators and U.S. representatives. And so they have been able to stop being forced to harden the grid. And so we don't have protection here. Some of our military units and military bases are hardened, but we as civilians aren't. But yet, at the same time, our military relies on civilian infrastructure like grid. They have generators and stuff too, but how long you'll run on those, I don't know. But the question is, have you guys hardened your military installations versus your civilian critical infrastructure?
I believe so, Brennan. Practically everyone in Israel has a bomb shelter, and part of the bomb shelter is we have sealants. Firstly, the rooms themselves have special sealing, but then if they have windows, there's special sealants there as well. By the way, I found out an interesting statistic a few days ago. In the Gaza Strip, Brannon, there is not one bomb shelter that's ever been built. What does that say?
Where?
In the Gaza Strip.
Really?
There is not one bomb shelter ever been built in the Gaza. What does that say?
But they have underground tunnels galore.
But the underground tunnels are not to protect.
But they have nothing for their people.
They have nothing for their people. What does that say about
they don't care about their people.
They don't care about their people.
No.
But I just wanted to throw that out for the public, for them to know where when you compare and contrast with Israel, every family, in fact, a new home, it's mandatory to have a bomb shelter in a home. But that's how much we care for our public, we care for the people. But sadly, in the Gaza Strip, not one bomb shelter has been built.
Wow,
shocking.
Not one. So how many of the fires are under control? What's the latest?
I just got a report an hour ago that finally the fires are under control.
Okay.
The winds have died down. They had terribly strong winds overnight. They've calmed down with all of the help from Croatia, Italy, Macedonia, Micronesia. All these countries are coming to the help of Israel. What a blessing for us, and I pray that they get blessed back. So we've been able to put the fires out, curb them, put the water in places where it's not being able to spread. But yeah, what the key, of course, are the winds. And if you look at the trees, it doesn't look like it's so windy right now, which is a key factor in this. Yeah, I can't remember the amount of dunams or acres, but it's a mass amount that has burned up. And as I mentioned yesterday here in the studio, since 1948, we have a one day every year, it's called Tu B'Shvat, where we go out and we plant trees for the beauty, for the ecology. And it's been estimated that we have about 700 million trees that have been planted since 48. In the hundreds and hundreds of thousands have been burned. It's just terrible. And can you imagine what that does to the animal and the wildlife as well? What about the sandstorm? Are these pictures coming out of Israel? Are these legit pictures of the sandstorm? Is that legit? That is legit. I saw that yesterday.
That's sand, or is that smoke?
That is sand. That's a sandstorm. We get at least one or two every year.
Like that big?
Exactly like that. Now, when it hits Israel, I don't believe that that's Israel. That's where it's coming from, and I can't remember.
They were saying Egypt.
I was going to say, I think I read it was from Egypt.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like in Egypt. By the time it gets through the Sinai Peninsula and gets to the southern part of Israel, it's thinned out a lot. Okay. But we get the aftermath, and like, what's her name? Michelle Bachmann, who said,
Congresswoman.
You get it. And, the only people that are happy are people who own clean car companies. They love it.
The people that do all the detailing.
Yeah. Everyone queues up the next day to get their car clean.
I bet they do. All right. A lot of people are always asking us about the red heifers, the temple. Now, I know you spoke on some of this at our rally in Milwaukee, Waukesha. But where are we at with the 5 red heifers? Have any of them been disqualified? Any of the 5?
I'm reading reports that some of them are getting to between the 5 to 7 year age, which is going to disqualify them. But again, hearing reports that they're breeding more red heifers. There's not a lot of new news going out, except one key thing to keep our eyes on is the issue of the Temple Mount. And more and more during the feasts of the Lord, during the high holy days, like we've just celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut, which is our Independence Day. That was yesterday,
Right.
Our 77th Independence Day. So these are days that many, many more Orthodox Jews go up on the Temple Mount. And as I quoted, just before I came to America 5 weeks ago, members of the Israeli Knesset wrote letters to members of the Congress here in the United States, asking them to officially recognize the Temple Mount as sovereign Israeli territory. I think it's a matter of time that that's going to happen. The other key point that we're going to keep our eye on over the next short period is the conclave, the choosing of the next pope. And we all know that the pizza is on hold.
Right.
The Jerusalem Cardinal, Pizzararia, or whatever his name
Pizza
is.
Balla.
Pizza Balla.
Pizza Balla.
He is, in many circles, he is the leading candidate. The process is called the conclave, where they choose 12 cardinals, and from those 12, they choose one. And apparently the leading one is the Jerusalem one, who is born in Italy, but he's been in Jerusalem for, I think it's about 20 years, speaks perfect Hebrew, dialogues with the rabbis. Wouldn't that be interesting if he got the position and he was able, and this is where we have to be alert, that he brings about a peace deal, you know, between the Muslims, between the Jews. And by the way, the other news I heard today, Brandon, big news. This is, again, just within the last half hour. Saudi Arabia, and this is to do with the attack, a potential attack on Iran. Saudi Arabia would be happy if Israel and America, but if Israel attacked Iran and took out that threat, because the Iranians are a threat to Saudi Arabia. And the Saudis said that, or rather the reports are saying that the Saudis would be even more inclined to join in the Abraham peace accords if Israel does it. So they're encouraging it. And not to forget this really important point, that Islam began in Saudi Arabia. That's Mecca. And the glory of who is the kingpin of the Muslim world, they want to retrieve that. They want it to go back to Saudi Arabia. So if
Hold right there.
Sure.
And we also have breaking news about Marco Rubio and Walz coming over right now. We'll get to that on the other side of the break, and we're going to take your calls. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk coming up at the top of the hour on over 100 outlets nationwide with Jim Schneider, your host, America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s. That you can hear it if you're not on one of their terrestrial stations. You can find them at VCY, V as in Victor, VCY.org, VCY.org. By the way, Dolly is finally laid down on her side, asleep on the floor between you and me. So clearly she's not too worried about you, or she wouldn't be laying on her side and asleep. So
I'm very happy about that.
She's warming up to you, Aaron.
She is, thank God.
Yeah, you've known two of my labs now, Dolly and
Yeah, absolutely.
Delta.
And I love dogs, so it's unusual for me that dogs react like that to me, but yeah, finally.
She's been skittish since she was a puppy, which makes her actually makes her a great dog. I've found that my last two labs have been great labs because Dolly's half sister to Delta. But I found that when they're a little skittish, they tend to make better pets. At least I find it for what I want. I don't know how she's trained. She was bred as a hunting dog, so I don't know how she would do with gun training and all that. She didn't go through that. I gave up. I gave up on that several years ago. I don't have time for it anymore. I wish I did, because I had some great hunting dogs, and I spent the time having them trained and all that. I don't know how she would do. Look, there's a nice shot. I don't know how she would do. She might be way too skittish. I know she had a bad experience on New Year's Eve with fireworks. Some knucklehead in my neighborhood let off fireworks on New Year's Eve while she was in the backyard going out, and I was standing there with her. Well, she made a beeline right to the house, and ever since she hears someone letting off fireworks. So they may have just ruined her for that, but not that I was going to do that. But on a side note, yeah, I find the dogs that are a little more timid tend to be better pets because they stick real close to you. Like, she's always near me. She's always close by.
Nice.
So the ones that are a little more bold kind of wander. You know, next thing you know, you find them 5-6 doors down, right? Or they just don't stick close to you. So I tend to like them a little timid. Not with her. I didn't have a choice. She was the last one. When I called the man that breeds them and I'm buying them from, passed away 3 weeks earlier, and she's like, "We don't have any female labs. They're all gone." And she said, "Wait a minute." She came back to the phone and said, "Someone just canceled one, so we do have one." And I said, "I'm on my way," and went and got her.
Great.
So she was my last one. That's why I named her Dolly. It means gift from God. Because
Really?
Oh yeah, because if Delta had not died the night before, if she had died a day or two later, she'd been gone. Because when we got there, the lady said someone else has already called wanting her. And I told them, no, the man is on his way. She's spoken for. So she was a gift. And she's Delta's half-sister, so we love her.
That's what Dolly means.
Means, well, when I looked it up, it means gift from God.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there you go. So there you go. We did what we call a rabbit trail here. But anyway, she's laying down on her side. She's asleep. She's getting very used to you, Aaron.
Good.
Good. All right. So news. We're now getting news. We're going to have to stand corrected here. The news now is that Trump has announced Mike Walls as his UN ambassador. Remember, it was supposed to have been Elise Stefanik, but I guess they couldn't get her through there. And they didn't want to, or I guess they were concerned about getting her confirmed. I can't remember what the issue was. But they also didn't want to lose her House seat. Couldn't lose her House seat. So I think Elise Stefanik would have probably done a nice job from what information I have. So now Mike Walls will go over to being the UN ambassador. And Marco Rubio right now is going to serve as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State.
Both.
Both. He said it's just for the interim, I'm being told.
The interim, right.
But, you know, he's going to, poor Marco Rubio, Logan and I have commented, he seems like he's always exhausted and worn out flying between time zones. That poor guy's not going to get any sleep now that he's NSA. But that's the breaking news there. Now, you got some breaking news related to Iran.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about Iran and the pressure from Higsworth? Hegseth.
Well, see, look, I can't pronounce the Israeli names. You can't do our names. So this is great. We can help each other.
Here you go. So here's a quote from Donald Trump. All purchases of Iranian oil or petrochemical products must stop now. Any country or person who buys any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to immediately secondary sanctions. They will not be allowed to do business with the United States of America in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you for your attention. Now back to regularly scheduled programming.
This is called maximum pressure on Iran.
Right.
He's putting the squeeze on. He realizes, Brandon, that the dialogue, the diplomatic route hasn't worked, and good for him. There was question marks. You know, is Trump going to be sideswiped, deceived? The Iranians are masters of deception. Obviously, he went in with his eyes open. He gave them a chance. History will look back and they will see that he gave them every chance, and now he's changing gear. So let's stay on the edge of our seats.
Yeah.
Because this could be the war of all wars that we've been talking about and waiting for. And I can guarantee Israel will be on a state of high alert. And for all we know, maybe the Iranians saw this coming and they sent out operatives to start these fires to get us preoccupied. Who knows?
Do you think that Iran is going to respond to that? And if so, how?
No question they will respond. How, I don't know. but there's no question. We saw what they've done twice during this war. They sent over 300 long-range missiles, ballistic missiles they sent at us. No question that they will respond, but how, I don't know. They may have some surprises up their sleeves, but I'm intrigued, knowing what happened with the pages when we took out the Hezbollah leaders. I think we've got a few surprises up our sleeves as well. And if we act with the United States of America, who knows, this could be over without, or rather with the least of harm. Who knows? Maybe a lot of this barking from the Iran, maybe they've been bluffing. We don't know. Although I wouldn't play around with their barking. We definitely know what they've been capable of. Ballistic missiles. They've got drones. They've got in the hundreds of thousands the most sophisticated drones. So, but we talked about perhaps a cyber attack, and then I quoted the other day the ex-Shah of Iran. His son,
the prince,
the prince, who
I'm going to tell you now. I don't like letting out too much information. And the audience can pray about it. He's one of the ones. When I said to the audience the other night, we've put in for interview requests, and most of you would never guess. Most of you would never guess who we've put in for interviews with. You're going to go for the obvious ones, and the obvious ones would be nice. I'm not going to, say that's not an honor too, but. I tend to like to interview people that everybody else isn't interviewing to the maximum, right? And so I've put in for an interview with the prince. We'll see where that goes.
That would be great.
Because we're going to be in Washington. He's there. He's getting back. I think he was just in LA. So we have put in for an interview with the prince.
Excellent. Very sophisticated.
And if we can't get it in person, we're going to keep trying to get it by remote.
Remote, yeah, recording or doing it through live Zoom or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Well, what I've seen of him, very sophisticated leader. And speaker, very pro-West, pro-Israel, loves Israel, comes and calls us our brothers. He was in Israel about 6 months ago. We loved him. He went to the wall, the Western Wall, which, by the way, the Western Wall is waiting for you to come one day.
We're going during the millennium. Why do you think I'm taking a motor coach to DC, not an airplane? Plus, I can't bring all my equipment. You think I'd put all my equipment on an airplane, they'd have it all torn up. That's if it even got to the other end. It would all be torn up on the other end. There's no way I'm letting them touch that equipment. It's too expensive. But we can put all that onto the motor coach, and I got to bring my dogs. Yeah, and I'm not checking those under the...
Hey, there is something called a boat.
You know what? If you can find me a boat that will go from Florida or wherever to Israel and allow my dog, let me know.
I'm going to look into that here.
You're looking at that one for me.
I want you in Israel.
I know you do.
No, not only because of our friendship, but for you.
Yeah.
You got to come. It's a life-changing experience.
Well, this gal right down here goes everywhere. I have 2 girls that go with me everywhere, both blondes, Melissa and my dog. Let's open the phone lines because I have a listener wanting to know something here. 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, 1-800-347-9829. Before I get to the question that someone sent in here, have you seen this documentary, Paramount Plus acquires the Children of October 7th documentary? Have you seen that?
Brandon, I'll be honest with you. I've had a number of chances to see it.
I didn't know about it till right now.
I can't watch it.
Well, I didn't know about it till today.
Yeah,
till right now.
I can't watch any more videos and documentaries. It affected me too much. I'm kind of done.
Well, Logan, can you help us get that gal that produced it? We should see if we can get her on the air and interview her. I'd like to watch that. What, have you heard anything about it?
Well, it's just, interviews with survivors, witnesses.
Children of parents. I'm sure some of them have lost their parents.
Yeah.
All right, we have a listener that's wanting to know, apparently, again, if this is to be believed, Johnny's forces are advocating toward Swalia Gavrante, a Druze-controlled region. They claim they have footage out there on the social media sites. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. I'll show it to the audience. But for the radio, explain.
Well, I don't recognize. I don't recognize the name of that place, but I tell you, they have the high
ground.
and that's a big concern. already there's been in the dozens of Druze that have been slaughtered. And I reported yesterday here that Israel, Bibi Netanyahu emphatically said, we will not let our Druze brothers sit by. We will defend you. For those of you viewers who don't know, in Israel we have about, I think it's about up to 70,000 Druze, and some of their families living in these places we're talking about, Syria. And so we are inside of South Syria. We are going to defend them. And this is, you know what, for me, this is showing our character, showing our loyalty to people who are in vulnerable places. But we better follow through. If we don't follow through, it's not going to be good for us. We got to follow through and back this up.
1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, folks. Let's go to the phone lines. And you guys call in, you hear someone drop off, that means the line's opened up. Let's go through as many as we can. John, line 1. John in Texas. Thanks for calling in, John.
Hi, Brennan.
Hi,
Thank
John.
you. I really love your show,
Thank you.
especially when you talk about end times and the third temple. Anyway, so did you get my question?
No, I did not. What's the question?
The question is this. Jesus said, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. So where specifically is Jesus referencing in Daniel?
That would be in the temple. That's be where the Antichrist sets up his image, which is really the false prophet, gives breath to it, according to Revelation chapter 13 and 14.
Yeah, and the key part, sorry to interrupt, the key part to that verse is the holy place. When you see him, the abomination that causes desolation in the holy place. In the days of the Bible, when you made that reference, the holy place, there was only one place people would think of, Zion, the Temple, the Temple Mount.
So you got to have a temple for that to even happen, which is why we watch, and not because we're excited about that, because it's going to be decimated, desecrated. But in one sense, you're kind of excited about it because you believe it'll be an opportunity for evangelism. Is that right?
There's a number of reasons. That is one, definitely one big reason. But another reason is because of Israel's call in the last days. In the book of Isaiah chapter 2, it says, in the last days, the mountain of the Lord will be elevated above all nations, and nations will go up. This is not just a Jewish vision to rebuild the temple. This is a universal vision. My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. And the Jewish religious people, they're waking up and realizing it's not just for us Jews, it's for the Gentiles as well.
We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away. We're not changing courses now. We are who we are. We're committed to the truth that we are committed to. Worldview Tube is a broadcast network that I started in 2006, but it's based on my 35 years as an author and speaker and commentator. Worldview Tube is here to defend the truth of a Christian worldview. And we believe we can apply it to all areas of life, like law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, major issues.
At worldviewtube.com, we provide news from around the globe that isn't typically covered by mainstream media. Visit worldviewtube.com to watch our experts and analysts discuss all your favorite topics on our 24/7 live stream. Explore our extensive collection of unfiltered and uncensored content from 35 years of production. Go to worldviewtube.com today. Also find us on all of these major platforms and download our Worldview Tube mobile app.
Yes, don't give up.
Oh, I'm not. I'm ready to keep going. All right, folks, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Let's go to the phone lines, back to the phone lines. Chris, phone line, we got another line open there, folks, if you want to get on board. 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Chris from Wisconsin, line 2. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for taking my call. Great show.
Thank you.
Hey, I just had a question for Aaron, and I've always wanted to ask this to an Israeli, but I keep forgetting. So, Aaron, I went to Israel back in 2019 with a group of people. It was like 300 and some people on this tour. It was a Christian group, and unfortunately, because we were such close proximity together, a lot of us got sick. This was when we were in Jerusalem. But I was wondering, Aaron, if I wanted to go back to Israel someday, is there a way that instead of going with a group, that I could go with a singular Israeli guide, like preferably a Christian Jewish person, Messianic Jewish person like yourself, and like
Well,
go
just
with him in a
hire
small
Aaron.
Well,
handful of
brother,
people
I don't know if you
like
know this,
seeing
but I'm a fully
doing that.
licensed Israeli tour guide. I have been for about 18 years, and I don't just guide churches and groups, but I also guide singles, couples, families, small groups. So get on my website, get my email there, and write me, and I'd love to guide you around, brother.
What is your website?
lighttotheNationsMinistry.com.
All right, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it.
I'll
God bless
pick you
you.
up at the airport, brother.
There you
Look forward
go.
to it.
There you go. Let's see. Jeff in Arizona, line 4. Hi, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Aaron, I'm just calling to encourage you. I met you at Gilbert in Arizona, and if you remember, my wife was there. She was a psychologist. I showed you pictures when
I
we
know
were in
exactly who I'm talking to. I remember your face, and I remember your wife's face, brother. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, I've been trying to track up with you. I haven't heard you on the radio here for a while. Are you in Israel or are you in the States?
He's here in Memphis in our studios outside of Memphis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still here, and I'm going
I thought
back
that-
next week.
Okay, I thought that's what you said. But I just wanted to let you know, I remember you talked about dark times.
About dark
Remember
times.
when you were in Gilbert, you said you were in a lot of dark times sometimes.
Yeah, that's the result of living in a war zone, living...
I understand. Well, I
Yeah.
just wanted to tell you, remember you made the joke about it must be hard living with a psychologist. And I want to send you my card or her card sometime, and you can gladly call us anytime because I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Awesome.
So anyway, thanks for being here.
Thanks, brother.
And I'd like to keep in touch with you.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's run to Dave real quick. Dave, line 1 from Arizona as well. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Aaron.
Brandon and Aaron, we're both here. Yep. Yep.
Hey, Aaron. What I wanted to say is I pray every day for the peace of Jerusalem and peace in Israel, and I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. praying for you. And I just had a question about because I was thinking of we might take a trip next year to Israel. And the place I wanted to go besides Jerusalem was En Gedi. And I just wanted to get your comments about En Gedi.
En Gedi, brother, is one of the nicest places. And of course, it's the story where David ran away from Saul. And that is where we believe that he wrote a lot of the biblical poetry that we call the book of Psalms, where he really gets in touch with nature, or he gets in touch with God through nature. So beautiful place, great place. Brandon, it sounds like people are starting to want to come back to Israel.
They are.
Which is great. It's great for the industry.
It's amazing to me they all want to go back, even though you're still at war. You got fires of terrorism, but they all want to go.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, brother. It'd be great to see you in Israel one day.
Tom, line 3. Tom, thanks for calling in, Tom.
Hi,
Tom.
Brandon.
Yeah, hi.
Aaron, thank you guys very much for taking the call.
Yeah.
I just wonder and worry, shouldn't we be more cautious about the Shah of Iran's son and welcoming him with open arms, kind of like letting the enemy in our camp?
Oh, well, no, but his dad, he has been here his whole life pretty much. He was brought over here as a little boy by his mother. And of course, his father was not interested in Sharia. Remember, he came over here to get cancer treatment under Carter, and Carter's CIA basically booted him out and let the Ayatollahs take over. And his dad was not for a Sharia Islamic law. He was not. And he was friendly with your nation too, wasn't he?
Very much.
So it's not like we have anything, we have no red flags with him is what I'm saying. There's nothing to be suspect of. A lot of people don't know about him. A lot of people just don't know about him.
Thanks. I was wondering, but keep up the good work and God bless you both.
Thank you, Tom. Rick in South Dakota, line 1. Rick, that's why one reason why we want to interview him. A lot of Americans don't know, right? Particularly if you weren't, like I was a child, but I was living in D.C. at the time as a child, so I was watching all of this. I was interested in all that, and we had, the red ribbons on all the trees for all the hostages, and So we were tracking it, right? Even as a kid, you couldn't help but do it if you lived in D.C. You're surrounded by all this as a kid. But yeah, a lot of Americans, if they weren't old enough to know about that time and be born or study it, they don't know. A lot of people have no clue. The former leader of Iran, the Shah's son, even lives, much less his wife, their princess. She lives here. The queen, I guess they call her. Rick in South Dakota, go ahead, Rick.
Hi, Brandon. I just want to mention a couple of things. The fires, we moved here from Colorado. We lived there for about 20 years before, and we lived in South Dakota now. But there was the pyroterrorism there was just out of control. Still is. Every summer that you could hardly breathe in Denver, and they would always have these fires, like the $400 million worth of homes that burned in Colorado Springs. They never did say what the cause was, but 2 years later, I checked into it, and they said it was human caused. But that's all they would say. And the fires, there's a guy who's great on this stuff. You may know him. He's John Guandolo.
Yep, we've had him on many times.
The FBI.
Yep.
He did counterterrorism for 10 years, I think, with them. But he's really on top of this stuff. If you can get him on your show, I'd really encourage you to do that.
We produced his TV
we
show
saw it
for
all the time in Denver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we produced his TV show for years. So he's been in our studio many times. Let's see. Bruce in Missouri. If you go fast, Bruce, we'll get you in. Go, Bruce.
Yes, there is a book out called The Return of the Red Heifer, and it gives all the information on how the red heifer is to be sacrificed and everything about who is to do it and how they are to examine it. The name of the book is The Return of the Red Heifer, and I'm not sure who the author is.
It could be Rabbi Chaim Reichman, the founder and director of the Temple Institute.
All right, that's our broadcast for today, folks. Stay tuned for Crosstalk. Take care. And what you got?
Well, no,
we're back with WROS and with Worldview Tube.
Freudian slip.
Oh, I know. Can you believe
that?
that? Michelle Obama, she says about herself, particularly as a black man, she said about herself.
Classic.
I mean, really?
Have you seen pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's being taken out of context, right, Logan? She was really referring to her guy she's interviewing across the table.
Right.
Who's a black gentleman.
Right.
But yeah, it's going absolutely viral.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's a black gentleman across the table.
But
yeah, the way she said it made like son of herself, which is because everyone, a lot of people have questioned her.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's going absolutely viral right now. Oh man. Let's see here. What else do we got? Aaron? Anything else?
Well, actually, an update.
Yeah.
Check this out. Right now, Bibi Netanyahu in the Prime Minister's office is meeting with his security cabinet because 2 days ago, Israel pledged to defend the Druze, and now is the time to demonstrate that commitment.
Okay.
So they're getting ready, and in the last short time, there have been 5 warning strikes against Jolani, 5 warning strikes. If the new regime attacks the Druze, we will intervene directly to hit them. So it's heating up.
Okay,
it's like,
so the new regime is no better than the old regime.
No, absolutely not. And people are asking, why are they attacking the Druze? The Druze are a threat to them, but there could be some strategy here because, the Druze are friends with Israel. And again, maybe to stretch us we've been talking for a while, Brandon, about how your concerns are America are getting stretched here, there, and everywhere. You know what? That could be a problem for us. We're getting stretched to help the Druze. We're getting stretched in Lebanon. We're getting stretched in Judea and Samaria. There was another front somewhere there. But yeah, this could be a concern for us as well. Yeah.
We're also getting a report from the Jerusalem Post. President Trump says, I believe there are fewer than 24 hostages left in Gaza.
Yeah, Brandon, this is, I heard Jonathan Pollard, and he's an ex-Navy man in the United States for the Navy. He worked for the Navy.
He was accused of spying for Israel.
Right.
Went to jail for a couple decades, right?
It was about 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah.
And you ran into him now, totally.
I ran into him, yeah. But anyway, he gave an analogy. He said if a submarine is hit, the captain of that submarine, he will isolate that area that's been hit, and he will sacrifice that area, even if it means men and soldiers inside of that area, to save the rest of the ship. And he said, I'm all for saving the lives of these hostages, but for the greater picture, we have to win this war. And it just seems that Bibi, when it comes to hitting Hamas, putting the screws on, and I don't know if the public know, but we are taking out on average 30, 40, 50 terrorists a day in the Gaza Strip. So we're really getting close there to finishing them.
Look at this headline. U.S.-Iran nuclear talks delayed. IDF strikes Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon.
Yeah, and Brandon, there is our defense minister. He's talking about rallying troops and sending them into Lebanon. So again, this is what I'm talking about. We're getting drawn into Syria. We're getting drawn into Lebanon. We've got the fight going on in Judea and Samaria, the Gaza Strip. We've got fires raging. Right. It's unbelievable. It's what's going on.
I guess your people think it just doesn't stop.
You know what?
Ends.
It's really interesting, Brandon, because I was thinking about this yesterday, our Independence Day. When David Ben-Gurion stood up to declare independence, he knew that by declaring independence, he would be inviting a war from all the surrounding Muslim nations. What was he going to do? He declared it, and sure enough, the next day, all these Muslim nations attacked us. So nothing has changed. In fact, back then, I think we were far more vulnerable and at risk of being annihilated than we are today. Hard to believe. But because we didn't have an organized military back then, we had no water, we had no weapons, but obviously there is an unseen God who, it says, he that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleep. He's watching over us. Yeah, he allows us to get spanked, to get hit a little bit there, to wake us up, to turn us back to him. But it's clear that he is faithful to his promises.
Do you, my friend Marty Getz?
I don't know him personally, but I know I've been to a concert of his in Jerusalem.
Yeah, he's got a great song where he uses that scripture. Yeah, Marty's got great music.
Yeah, he does.
Psalm Enchanted Evening is his best CD, I think. Psalm.
I've seen it.
P-S-A-L-M, Psalm.
Yeah.
Psalm Enchanted Evening. Fabulous. Marty and I have been in concert together a few times.
Really?
Already. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, we did a concert together. And of course, we were doing music together at our Ozarks conference for years. But yeah, some group found out that we were singing together. They brought us both in to do a concert in Wilmington, North Carolina. He is a gifted guy, great Messianic Jewish man, and his wife, Jennifer, and their daughter.
Yeah.
And their Jewish son-in-law, who's, I can't say more, but let's just say he's on our team here in the U.S. doing some great work at important levels.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, that's our broadcast.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Colonel